Welcome to Wooden Spoon Data. My name's Woody. We're here with Kris. How you doing today, Kris?
Yeah, good man. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad at all. Thank you, mate. It's been a good little weekend for footy. We got to see a fair bit of good matches there. What were your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, good weekend. Saturday was a cracker. There was the three games back to back. It was good viewing.
Yep. I'm surprised you're not more interested in Friday night. That was a great game by the Bombers. Um, Yeah, look, great games all weekend, and I guess we'll get cracking into it. Yeah, get started on the Brisbane Melbourne match. Um, I guess I'll go through it. Melbourne's forward line just didn't score. Their mids didn't compete, and eventually that led to their back line falling apart. For me, they're almost like a litmus test for the finals. Like if you can beat Melbourne, you're pretty much a top four side, and you're a good chance of making like the grand final. But if you can't, you're probably going to struggle. And I feel like that's just where they're at. That's where they've been at for a couple of years, and it feels fairly similar. What are your thoughts, mate?
Do you think they play top four this year? Make top four this year?
I'm not certain anymore. I was pretty convinced they would kind of be fourth at the start of the year, but I mean these days it seems less likely. They're not firing consistently anywhere. Um, and look, that can all change in like a couple of weeks, but right now I don't see
But
it. Do you?
the Port win was a good. I don't know. They're very close. It seems like consistency might be an issue, and if they're losing, I mean, they sort of got through the May injury already, and I'm hearing Oliver's got a hand injury.
Yep, he's been playing with the glove, and it did
Yeah,
explain why he's been down in output a little bit. But um, yeah, for me, it's just that nothing's quite going right. And to be a premiership side, I mean, you need a bit of luck, and that
yeah, you need a lot to go right.
nothing's going right for them. They haven't, apart from Gorn just killing it as he always has. It's kind of not going right there. So I think at this point it is a situation of what do you do? Like their forwards just aren't kicking goals. Um, their structure seems to be kind of all over the shop. Yeah, apart from Bailey Fritsch, again, which we've said for weeks now, like who do you actually trust to kick goals? And
Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough.
it's just not happening. So yeah, with that lack of goals, it's just going to always end up in rebound 50s. And then from there, do they have enough run back and forth in their midfield to really keep the game going? And then yeah, can their defense hold up for long enough, which we didn't see this week. So yeah, for me, it's a bit concerning. Um,
Two
yeah,
goals between Van Rooyen and Brown. It's not enough. You need
it's
more from
not.
two of them.
I mean, they Fritz outscored them. Like he got
Yeah.
2 goals and I think more points than them. So it's yeah, it's just one of those. They need to find consistency in their forward line. I think Van Rooyen's worth persisting with. I
Yeah,
do
he
wonder
does look
if
good.
Yeah, I do wonder if like it's worth playing Petty forward as well as Brown as well as Van Rooyen. It just there seem to be too many tools forward that aren't doing enough. Petty had a terrible game. I think he had his first disposal in the last quarter. So I wouldn't be paying top five after that after Adelaide beat him. So yeah, I can't see him going to Adelaide anymore. But yeah, look, any sort of wrap up thoughts? I mean, we haven't touched on Brisbane too much. They were quite good. Before we go, do you have any thoughts on Brisbane?
Yeah, like I thought they were really good. Yeah, it's back to the Brisbane of last year. That's what they need to be keep bringing that sort of form.
Yeah, definitely.
Good for them to get a win at the MCG. I think if
Yeah,
don't play there again till round 23 against Collingwood, but if they can go into finals without that can't win at the MCG hoodoo
yeah,
hanging over them, that would be handy.
yeah. It'll be good for them. Like long term, it gives them more to kind of build from. So yeah, I think that's a big win for them. Something that I did overlook. Um, yeah, no, good win from Melbourne, from Brisbane to come to Melbourne and get it all done. I think yeah, as a general, there's a bit to unpack with Melbourne. You could look at their entire forwards realistically. their half forward lines, their midfield outside runners. Yeah, it's just not working. But look, we'll move on to your team, mate. They stomped the doggies. The Bombers ran away with it. At one point, I thought you were going to double their score and just end it. But there was
Calm down, calm down.
I just couldn't believe what I was watching. But no, they were good. And yeah, I was surprised, to be honest with you. What do you think kind of made it happen?
Like we were very accurate. The accuracy definitely helped.
Yeah,
I mean, if
bang
you
on.
look at the expected score, we probably should have lost.
Yeah, I mean, look in that first half, potentially. Like, I mean, you definitely were eight. I mean, what halftime? I think it was 8-2 to 6-6. So only up by a little bit, but yeah, it's just that kind of consistency after that you only let them score one goal in the third quarter and two in the last. So yeah, you did well, mate. I guess for me, Bombers looked good. I liked Dersma a lot. He was running around strong. Um,
Just 3 good games for him. He's been playing
it
decent.
is. He is. I liked his new celebration as well. The "You Can't See Me" is a good addition.
I
Um,
think he was just embarrassed that he wasn't confident in the bow and arrow. He put it
yeah,
away there for a second while he's waiting to
he,
see if it went through.
yeah. I mean, he's got a good celebration. I think he just needs to work on it. Trust himself a bit more. Um, no, he played really well. I think from memory he had near most marks on ground.
Yeah, 13. I'm not sure if it was the most. I can have a look, but I know he
Yeah,
got 13.
it was
I think
very
I
good.
think that'd be up there.
It'd be close if not. You guys won the clearances convincingly, which is not particularly a stat I thought you would win. 28 to 34, which was a good result there. Um, yeah, as a general, just Bombers winning it across the ground, demolished English in the ruck with 23 to 35 hit outs. Um, I liked what I saw. I really did. Um, yeah, I guess, mate. Is this because there's a part of me that wonders, is this Bulldogs just been shocking, um, or is this kind of Essendon finally finding a bit of that form they've been lacking? What kind of do you lead towards more?
I'd say a bit of both. I don't think Essendon's going to set the world on fire this year by a long stretch, but neither are the Dogs by the looks of it. I think they're both in that pack,
Yeah,
that peloton between like 6th and 12th.
yeah. I kind of think St Kilda has a fair chance of being in that sort of range as well.
Yeah, I'd say
And
so.
yeah, it seems to be a jam-packed sort of area. I actually think potentially because Brisbane because the Bulldogs are playing St Kilda next week. I think while it won't be Bevo's job on the line, we had a brief discussion off camera about this. I do think it'll be the first time that people start calling for Bevo's job in the media.
I
Um,
think they've been calling for it for a
if
while, haven't they?
if they lose, I think if they lose, much like the kind of Collingwood call we had earlier in the year, that people would start worrying pretty heavily if they lost to St Kilda. Likewise, I agree with that with the Bulldogs. If they lose to St Kilda and somewhat badly, like they did against Essendon, I think the alarm bells will heavily start ringing, and we might see the the start of the end of Bevo. To be honest, it's big call, but and we have been calling. Well, there's been a lot of people calling for Bevo for a while, but I think that the alarm bells are getting too big. I don't see it lasting much longer. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I can't see them pushing him away too quick. I sort of agree that maybe he should be looked at, but I just don't think it happens. Not
Yeah, I
not
mean,
until later in the season. I think way too early.
I think if this was around like 17 and this match was happening after an Essendon defeat like that, I think yeah, like probably you're getting to the point of having Bevo's job called for, especially if they're not going to make finals. Um,
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference if you're going to make finals or not.
yeah,
But
I
they're still
I
in the
tend to
hunt.
I don't like what I've been seeing from them, and from their
Oh,
side, they should
neither.
be doing so much better. It, in fact, this is something I was going to touch on a little bit later, but I think we just roll into it right now. We'll go straight into the media watch.
The media, Kris?
Yeah, I after kind of the other week, we saw Bevo doing some interesting training drills. We saw players lining up for goal with blindfolds on, and I assume there's some sort of methodology there, like trust that you can kick a goal. You don't even need to see it, that sort of thing. But when you're losing games that consistently, and like it's clearly like bit of methodology, bit of structure, like you don't need to be doing that. You need to figure things out properly. And for me, just lining up and kicking goals with blindfolds on isn't going to get you much further in the league. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Kris?
Yeah, it seems a bit silly, but I don't know. I'm not too hung up on that sort of stuff. Maybe
I
maybe it's
guess,
just yeah.
yeah.
You got to
I've
try
been,
things, don't you? If you don't
I,
try,
I'm kind of on the, I guess Bevo doesn't know what he's doing bandwagon. I've been on it for a while, and yeah, I think we're starting to see that the majority kind of jump on board with that idea. But yeah, to be fair, our editor James did find footage of Woosha in 2006 training with the Eagles doing the exact same thing. And what happened that year? The Eagles won. So look, maybe there's methodology to the madness, but I'd like to see more from the Bulldogs. And I think Bevo needs to pull his finger out and stop just trying to do new things in the game. Just play a good team, play a good structure. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Look, we'll get on to the next match. My team versus the Orange guys, or whatever they get called these days. Um, but yeah, basically GWS St Kilda.
I think they
If we
get
look,
called premiership favourites these days.
yeah, I think they are premiership favourites, but very interesting match. St Kilda came back strong, really strong. 6 goals in that final term, really put the game back in the balance, and potentially in that last minute there could have stole it. But yeah, not the performance you want to see from the first 3 quarters. It's just St Kilda fan. A lot of bad turnovers, mostly handballs to feet, mostly just picking bad options, running when there's a free kick, when there's nobody forward, um, just silly decision making. And we saw it kind of change towards the end there when the Giants lost a couple of players. Toby Green went out in the last 5 minutes and whatnot, and St Kilda got a little bit of a run on, but um, yeah, not what you'd want to see as a St Kilda supporter. Um, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, it was a close game in the end. It didn't feel like a 1 point match. I don't know. It's just St Kilda come back pretty hard, pretty fast. But
Yeah, and look,
did you
to be
did you
honest,
see
there's
the
mm,
did you see the Saints rooms got the Saints staff started packing up the rooms early
yeah, I
and
did see
realized they
that.
might have made a mistake and had to reset up?
Yeah. I think I'd have to double check, but I remember seeing there's a Twitter account that calls games early based on the X score, and then they'll say we're calling it with at a quarter to go or something like that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
remember I kept refreshing to see when they'd call it because I kept thinking, gee, it's got to be right on the edge, like, and then St Kilda would get another one, and I'd be like, whoa. Like they've kept the draw jar, but like it's right on the edge, and like they never posted from memory. But yeah, I was sitting there going like, geez, it's got to be over. I was gonna leave early because I had to go see a friend, but um then they kept kicking goals, and I was like, oh, give me half an hour, hang on, like this might go somewhere. So yeah, it was good comeback by St Kilda. Really liked Hugo Garcia. Threw his head over the ball, got a lot of tackles, was brought on for Daniel Butler, and I think played a much better game in his limited time than Dan Butler did. And I think we'll see pretty solid minutes next week from him. But yeah, not St Kilda's day. The one person that I mean, look, everybody on GWS played fairly well. The one person I was particularly impressed with was Brett Daniel. Really just essentially kind of came from a lot of different angles and cut off a lot of different plays, and yeah, stopped St Kilda's movement from the half back. I was quite impressed. I think the coverage even said that his main goal in AFL is to really just cover the rebound from the switch and the centre ball. So he did well. He stopped us in a lot of regards there. Um, looking onto it, I guess we should maybe get into this as well now, because for me, I had my unsung hero as of the week
The first to pitch in are those unsung heroes.
as Brett Daniels. If we're going to get into unsung heroes, um, yeah, who was your unsung hero, mate?
I had Mark Keane from Adelaide down. I thought game-saving mark at the end there, and just a solidly good game. He's been good for a few weeks now in that role.
Yeah, definitely. I actually had. Is this his first year? He's been on their list for a little while now, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't think it's his first year. I think he's played a few games, but I could be wrong. I don't know a whole lot about him. I've only seen
Yeah.
him, really noticed him this year, and he's been very, very good.
I'm in the same boat. I'm pretty sure he's been on a list and played a couple of games for more than a year now. But geez, he's come out of nowhere and really just held up a good sort of running intercept role with Adelaide, which they they kind of needed while they weren't playing Laird and Dawson back. But yeah, he's doing well.
Played 9 games for him last year,
Okay, yeah, all right.
and,
Well,
and he and he played 5 for Collingwood before that.
oh, I didn't realize it was the same Keen. Uh,
Yeah, he took a year off by the looks of it, and then come back.
yeah, I didn't realize. Okay,
Yeah,
well
I missed that
that's
one
good.
too.
Yeah, good on him. He's come back with a vengeance. Look, I guess it's that time of week again. We're going to move on to who's that footballer.
Who's that
footballer?
It's
Brendan Goddard.
Getting on to game 4 now that we've done who's that footballer. We're going to get into Carlton versus Adelaide. We saw a good Walsh return quickly on Carlton, but for the victors in Adelaide, who I don't think anybody particularly expected. They finally changed up their centre bounce attendances and they saw a win. Jake Saligo with 22, Rankin 20, Crouch with 18, and then Dawson 16 and Laird 16, spending more time in the defensive side. So yeah, I feel like they finally tried something new and they got some results there. Um, yeah, what did you think of the match, mate?
Very good match. It was good to see Carlton finally get a loss. It was starting to get worried that it might not happen.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree.
Great,
No,
great return from Welsh.
it was amazing. 34 disposals back. I know they were worried about that back injury and they took quite a bit of time recuperating and recovering him. And yeah, look, if he can keep coming out and playing like that, you can see exactly why. He was one of the better players in the finals last year. But yeah, he's come back with a vengeance, and he's very unlucky to have lost that match. To be honest with you, very unlucky with that Berry kind of snap right towards the end. Um, yeah, he did well. Um, I guess looking quickly over Carlton, they did kind of have a bit more issues this week in terms of goal kicking. Didn't quite get the fluidity that I expected against Adelaide. What do you think that comes down to? Is it Adelaide's defence or Collingwood or Carlton's attack? What do you think?
Like I don't know. I think Adelaide's defence is decent. And like Mark Keane, like we've just been saying, is playing some very good football. But
Mhm.
like I don't know,
I mean,
Charlie Curnow and Mackay still kick 6 between them. Their small forwards have always been a little bit hit and
hit and
miss, I
miss.
think. So
Yeah, yeah. I tend to
I,
agree. And
I don't
like,
know if they struggled too much. I think it was just them not having their good best days.
I mean, they kicked 14-4 to 16, 14-14 to 16-4. Like they definitely had a lot of shots, but it's like you had like Owies with that shocking miss towards the end, and kicking one goal too. Um, yeah, I think like it's just kind of not what they wanted in their night. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's for me, it's just questions of like why can't they be better? Why aren't they kind of that top two or three, even number one sort of side? If they're getting beaten by Adelaide, they're unlikely to win it unless they fix these little things. So
Adelaide and
yeah,
Melbourne too. It's not pretty.
yeah, it's not. It's just not what you expect. So I think, yeah, I mean, Adelaide played really well. Carlton maybe needs to think about things. Maybe it's not a dual ruck situation. Pitnet and uh, De Going. Maybe they only played De Goey, not De Goey, De Going, that sort of thing. But um, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know why they really lost it. They should have realistically won. X score would have them quite ahead, as I'm sure people can see on the side. But um, yeah, it's just one of those games. Adelaide was quite accurate, and yeah, Carlton didn't
It
do
actually
enough
got
on that.
Adelaide winning on expected score.
Do they? No
Yeah,
way. Hang on.
yeah.
I didn't even pull up the stats for this.
Not
Wow.
90.8 to 92.8.
Jesus.
Yeah, a little bit strange.
I mean, yeah, it is. It is just it's an odd one. I mean, looking at the map as well, like it's yeah, it makes sense. Like a lot of their goals are directly in front. These ones kind of out on the side. They kind of kicked them, but they're like set shots that are expected for like 2 points, maybe four, and then they just keep kind of kicking them. There's a few misses there they should have got maybe, but I mean when you've only got four misses, I'm kind of surprised that their expected score is only +7. Um, yeah, weird. Anyway, look, uh, I would have actually expected that to be a minus, considering how on top they were. But yeah, that's insane. Um, maybe we need a bit of a further deep dive into that game. It's yeah, odd one. But look, is there anything you want to kind of say before we look on to the Gold Coast Hawks? There was a bit of a, I mean, what we expected there, but anything from the Carlton Adelaide match?
I thought a very good game from Isaac Rankin. I thought his energy and everything sort of lifted the team in that last quarter. It seemed like he was just everything he touched was going well.
He was insane. It was yeah, just one of the better sort of performances by him in a while, if not potentially his best. So yeah, really
And
really good.
it was probably Dawson's worst performance for Adelaide. He's been super consistent over the last 2 years and just seems to be in a bit of a rust spot. I'm not sure if he's injured or anything.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I'm kind of assuming he has to be. His output's so much lower than previous years that, and it's not like he's 35 or something. It's not like he's going to drop off a cliff anytime soon. So yeah,
I
odd
know
result.
Supercoach isn't the best metric, but it's the only time he scored under 70 in the last 3 years.
Wow.
He's done it
Yeah.
twice in the last 3 weeks.
Damn. Yeah, not something you'd expect from Dawson, their captain. So yeah, bizarre results there. I'd assume he is injured. It's kind of one of those ones where you probably don't say that your captain's injured, and you just kind of let him do as much as he can. Um, look, good win from Adelaide, and hopefully we see more wins from Adelaide and more losses from Carlton.
Is it
But
enough to pull him back? You reckon? Adelaide 1 and
they need
4.
they're going to need a couple of wins in a row to really consider it. So they have a bit of a better second half to the season, so maybe it's doable, but it'll be tough. Look, moving on to Gold Coast Hawks, I guess pretty much what we expected from that result. Gold Coast winning 109 to 56. Hawthorn kind of not really having much life throughout the game. Really kind of lost every sort of major quarter there. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Did you get to watch much, if any, of this game?
I was watching Port and Freo, much
Yeah,
more entertaining.
fair. No,
But I
I was
saw Sam
similar.
Mitchell absolutely whack them. He seemed to go off,
Yeah,
not
he
happy at
did.
all.
I mean, and fair enough as well. Like they scored 1-4 in the first quarter, 2 goals for the second, then 2 goals, two for the third, and then 3 goals, two for the fourth. It's like you kind of want that as your worst quarter most of the time. You can't have 4 quarters of that. Because yeah, you will get 56 points in a game, and nobody's winning a game of football on 56 points, unless St Kilda in 2010 or something like that. It's not really happening. So yeah, it's 109 is what you wanted to see from the Gold Coast Suns. Good to see Jed Walters start getting a couple of goals as well. He got two. Ethan Reed out there got two as well. Closey got two as well. So their youngins are starting to show some form, and that's I think kind of what we said they were missing. They needed improvement from that bottom six. They
Yeah,
needed to find a little bit more, and they might have found it. And if they have, well, we might have to reassess because they did well.
and you've got to be able to keep these kids up and going for a while though. Like they're not going to to play a full season. Season's pretty long, but you got to find that balance. And I have trust that like guys like Rao and Anderson and stuff can carry a lot of that brunt though. I think they're a very good core.
Yep, I agree. And I tend to think, you've got a good core there. They needed to work on their defense a few years ago. They got that under control. Right now, they're trying to work out their attack, and if they can keep kind of doing that, then they're good. Sorry, the dog's trying to jump up and have a pat. Um, give him a little
If
pat.
Ben
There we
King
go.
can kick for a match, it goes a long way.
That he does. And I honestly, that's can be half their battle, just consistency between King, Walter, some of the ones that haven't quite fully come on yet, and then they might get somewhere. But for now, it'll be hit and miss matches, and then we'll see results of what they'll look like in a year or two because they're getting there. But yeah, it's still going to be a little time between. Um, Look, we won't touch too much on Hawks unless you have much to say, mate.
No, nothing too much. I didn't watch the game. I think
Yeah, fair,
they need the reinforcements back. That's for sure.
definitely. Will Day would be helpful for them, no doubt.
Kangaroos next week. It's becoming a must-win game. It's going to be a
Yeah.
tough one. What if they
Well,
lose to the Kangaroos?
with West Coast winning this against Richmond, yeah, that could be quite a problematic match if they don't win it. Could have Hawthorn in the bottom spot. Moving on to Port Freo, mate. I got to see little bits and pieces of this, but I was out and about. So I guess we'll go to you. What were your main thoughts from the game? What was your takeaways?
It was a very good game. It was I got a message from a mate saying it was a ripper of a game, and then a Port mate messaged me saying it was shit house to watch. So a bit of a depends what you're supporting. I was a neutral, so I'd have thought it was a good time.
Yep, yep. Looking at it, it seems like Caleb Sarong came back to form, which is what you want to see. We obviously had the Hayden Young that was off at the start of the season, getting back into it again. Luke Ryan playing the way Luke Ryan does, and we saw again good results from Jordan Clark and Luke Jackson, while he's still the only ruck, which might be the last week, as far as I understand. Um,
Big
yeah,
games
so
from Rosie and Butters. Also, they had a lot of involvement.
yep,
Willem
yeah,
Drew
definitely,
did, did the usual.
yep. Willem Drew's come along so well. I
Yeah,
think I think Freo will be kind of happy with the general results here. It's been a good game. I guess do you wanna see more from them, or is losing by 3 points to Port kind of
Yeah,
what you
they got to kick scores. It's going to be hard to fight out a whole season when every game's close if they can't kick over 60. But they
yeah
seem to be very good at holding teams to under 60. So
it's
I
give
think
and
they'll
take,
be
I
around
suppose.
the mark still.
They'll be close, I think. The problem I see, right, is you're not gonna get 3 goals from Tracy every week. Um, and then likewise, Taberner's one is probably closer to what you expect from him and Tracy. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see them doing much more in terms of kicking goals, and when you're only kicking about 60 odd points a game, it's a bit of a worry. Port
Did you
side of
happen to
things.
catch the
Hmm, Sorry, go.
Did you happen to catch the Butters bump?
Yeah, I've seen replays of it. What are your thoughts,
Yeah.
Matt?
Like the way the AFL's been talking, it probably should have been weeks. Probably should have been, but
Yeah, I think
maybe not
it's
weeks, but week. You know.
I think it's probably if you're gonna give a week, it's probably that sort of type, where he got his hand on the ball, but is it really enough, like to kind
Yeah.
of go in that hard and hit somebody like that? So it's a big
Uh,
question. The AFL will probably review it, I think after the season.
they probably need to remove the fairest aspect from the Brownlow to a certain degree, anyway. Change it
Yeah,
because it
there's
can't be
gonna be
having this.
discussions.
Yeah.
There's going to be discussions. I think this year we're going to see a fair few people potentially not um, be in the race, where they might have a moment where they're pretty close to the top. So this is one of those years. Might even be the year that we see somebody lose a Brownlow to suspension for the first time in quite some time. Um, we'll see. Depends if Heaney gets suspended. So, um, yeah, I guess, yeah. Is there any sort of anything you wanted to say about that game before we look at moving on?
Just unlucky for Freo. They could very well be 5-0. Two very close, unlucky losses.
Yeah, definitely. And look, to be fair, I think most Freo supporters would be fairly happy with 3-2, considering where they were at last year. But yeah, I think they all would want to be 5-0, and realistically could have seen it happening. I think it's time to get straight into sharing shenanigans as well.
Have a look at this. Great shot of something not so good. Bang!
So this week's sharing shenanigan, we have got Matt Owies. Honestly, probably cost him the game. Um, yeah,
Definitely cost them the game.
how did look? Billings did this the other week too, where he took a snap from 15 meters out and didn't make 10 meters. I just don't
Yeah.
I don't understand how as an AFL footballer it happens. Like it's
It's always going to happen. It's
look, it
always going to
can,
happen.
but like it's kind of ridiculous. The other one I did want to mention was not one that I've actually put on the team sheets, but Machado Owens takes a screamer and then just kicks it across the back pocket straight into Hogan's hands and gives him a goal. It's
Yeah.
just ridiculous football. Honestly, Owens probably cost him Kilda the match with that and his shot across goal that went out in the full with his opposite foot from 15 meters out. It's just
I don't agree. I thought he was quite good, but I can understand why you'd be annoyed.
look, we wouldn't have gotten it anywhere near as close and winning the game without him. But at the same point, we would have won the game if he had done one of those two things correctly. So anyway, we'll move on to the next game, Cats Roos. Yeah, games like this will happen to the Roos. They're improving, but today was not a good example of their long-term goals. The Cats look dominant again, but I feel like I'm waiting for them to have a real contest. What was your thoughts, mate?
Well, I question, are they improving, the Kangaroos? I'm not so sure. I think their back line is just awful now. I think Ben Mackay was holding them up a great deal more than what it looked like. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They
Yeah.
did. I know Comden sort of plays decent and looks half all
It
right,
was his
but I
second
just
game
don't
back.
think as a group. Yeah, like as a group, I think individually they're all like maybe good players, but
Yeah.
it's not. They look like they're going to lose. Like yeah,
I mean, McKercher going
Jeremy
early
Cameron.
wasn't helpful, but at the same time, that the problem I see with the Roos is they don't have enough tall defence, and they're running out of backline defence. Doesn't defend. As much as we like to
Yeah,
say Sheasel's a great player, he's not a good defender. And Zach
but yeah, he's
Fisher's
not
not
in
going to
the
do
team to
much.
defend.
No, he's not. And like realistically, but
Yeah,
you can't hold McKercher in there, Fisher,
yeah,
and Sheasel. Like they just, you've got too many half forwards and pockets that are going to kill you in a game when none of those can defend. And then you've got the problem of also not having even two, like even one good tall defender. Like Comben looks all right. Biggie looks all right at moments. Like there's moments where they look all right, but they're not, there yet. And if you're getting killed by your tools, and then if they don't even mark it, you get killed by the smalls, you're never going to win. So realistically, they need lockdown small defenders to start with. They they need to, obviously figure out tall defense, but like they're trying. Um, but yeah, they can't just have three half backers running around just not paying attention to their opposition. They'll never get anywhere. Um, Look, I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on the Cats though? Because I could go on about the
still
Roos.
undefeated, still undefeated, and Jeremy Cameron has just like hit some fine form. He's getting
Yeah,
on. Yeah, he's
he,
looking very, very good.
in fact, yeah, he's looking like he's locking in an All Australian, which is something we'll talk about later. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
coming along
close.
really well, and yeah, I think we're seeing some good results from players we weren't particularly expecting to. Tanner Bruin's looking better. We're seeing a lot out of Dempsey. So yeah, they've got a bit coming from that kind of bottom sort of six area, where they probably didn't last year.
Dempsey's had a few flyers for Mark of the Year already. He hasn't
Yeah,
landed one yet,
no,
but he's
he
been looking
hasn't.
pretty good.
He's given him a crack though, and that's what we want to see the young fella do. No, he's done very well, and yeah, he's one to keep an eye on. Looking onto the final match of the week, West Coast and Richmond. Honestly, probably my favourite match of the round. Uh, West Coast just dominated. Like there was first quarter, all right. There was Richmond on top. Second quarter, that it became a bit of a tussle, but in that third, West Coast just ran away with it. They had ball in their forward half. I think 71% of the time, they were just dominant, and that's what you want to see from a side that has not been there for a while. It's what you want to see. So good for footy, good match. Richmond, they're going to be in the long haul. I think them and West Coast might have some battles over the next few years. But yeah, we'll see. What was your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, like great game from West Coast. I really wanted to switch my tip once I saw Taranto was out, but I didn't do it.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely flying, and like good to see their elder players who've had injury problems the last few years sort of stepping up and carrying the
Definitely.
team. I think Elliot Yo is just back in a big way.
Yeah.
You see his stat
Jeremy
line.
McGovern. Yep. Yeah. He's killing it. What did he
Yeah,
get this week? It was
27 touches,
yeah.
19 contested, 2 goals, 15 clearances, 13 score involvements, all from 73% time on ground.
That's very good, especially like a
It's very good.
2-to-1 contested to uncontested ratio is really good.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah, very good.
impressive. Yeah, I think Richmond in it for the long haul. They've got some players to come back, which will help. But they're gonna struggle for the next
Do
couple of
you think
years.
they've got a bottom out? Do you think that this is it? Like, do you think they should try and get in before Tassie?
Potentially, yeah. I can't see Dustin Martin being anything for them in a year or two, to be honest. If they can trade
Would you
him,
trade out some stars?
yeah, 100%.
But let's not include Dusty in that. Would you trade anyone else?
Yeah. There's a lot of value in certain players. Graham
There is a lot of value.
has a fair bit of
Baker,
value on the
maybe.
market. Baker has a fair bit of value on the market. I mean, you wouldn't lose Bolter, but Bolter would go for a ton. They don't have enough to go close to a flag, or potentially even really go to the eight. So for me, it's do you do you bottom out, and how heavy do you bottom out? Who can you actually lose while getting more back? That's going to be the major question, because they can't just trade out three or four of them. Like they can't do what St Kilda did in 2012 and get rid of Dalsano, Goddard, and everybody all at once. It's not going to work. Um,
Hawthorn.
well, yeah, Hawthorn did the same thing. It doesn't work when you get rid of too many old. I mean, Melbourne did it in the early 2000s. But when you get rid of all your old players, the experience really it's a difficult one to replace. So yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
think West Coast proved that.
yeah, West Coast proved it. I think we might even see that from Collingwood in a year or two. They've got 9 players currently that are 30 in their starting side. So
Over 30.
yeah, over 30. So, which, by the way, if you haven't seen, go see our Collingwood quarter season review. It's out with I Just Love Footy. He's a lovely man, Anthony. If you haven't seen his stuff, go and watch it. Um, very good stuff. But yeah, look, that's pretty much it for me, mate. For the season, we're on to the well, not the season, for the week. We're on to the Rolling Australian.
You're Australian. Be Australian.
Only 2 changes this week. We have ditched 2 forwards. So the back line is staying the same. The midfield will stay the same. And in the forward line, we have gotten rid of Harry Mackay and replaced it with Jeremy Cameron. I feel like that's pretty obvious, but yeah, it's Cameron just playing out of his skin, and Mackay having gone through a loss and maybe not dominating as much as the early season. We've kind of swapped them out.
Couple of quieter weeks. I think it's more about Cameron stepping up than it is McGovern getting. Mackay getting too bad.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And yeah, likewise, it's going to be hard to get rid of him if he plays that well. So it's kind of one of those ones where who really replaces Hogan and Cameron at this rate? Can't
I
see
think
anybody.
Kerno's still in there too.
Kerno's on our bench. Yep. Now,
Yeah.
just before we get to the bench, we have got Waitman out. We've brought in Shai Bolton. Look, he's been playing out of his skin. He's one of the few people that's keeping Richmond in games. And look, if Bolton's not playing, Richmond's not playing. So he's been playing well enough to keep them in games and for this so far this season, and played fairly well today in that first half. But when he kind of went a little bit quiet, Richmond turned off. So I think he's a good barometer and played a bit better than Waitman these last few weeks. Generally on the bench, we've got the same people: Curnow, Rao, Vlosten, and Petrarca. Look, potentially some movement in the midfield soon, but just right now we're going to hold and sit tight. Moving on to next week's tips, we'll go into St Kilda Western Bulldogs. Who do you think's going to win, mate? I'm going to lean biasly here and go St Kilda.
I agree, St Kilda. I did have the Western Bulldogs down, but I think missing Libba might be a bit too much for him.
Yeah, I think a potentially injured Bont, potentially injured English, missing Libba. Max King did manage to not be injured and hopefully does play next week.
What injuries are you hearing off there?
He had a knee injury towards the end of the match, but he
I
was.
meant Bont and English.
Bont has had an ankle problem for a couple of weeks, and English has had a well behind preseason, which is supposedly still affecting him, but we'll see. So yeah, I think it's just going to struggle with their main players potentially not at 100%. St Kilda maybe finding a little bit of form towards the back end of that game. We might see St Kilda victory. Moving on to the next one, Adelaide Essendon. I'm very, very on the fence about this one. I'm not sure. Based on last week's performance, you'd probably say Essendon because they dominated, but yeah, Adelaide played well. I'm going Adelaide this week just because it's in Adelaide. Otherwise, I'd probably
I've
go Essendon.
I've gone Essendon, but I don't feel good about it. It's more because I got last week's wrong, so I feel bad not tipping them.
Yeah, fair. No, I can understand. I think it'll be really close. I'd be stunned if it was either team won by a lot. Collingwood Port. Do you have a way you're leaning, mate?
I went Port. I think the midfield would just be too strong.
Yeah, look, I can see that argument. I've gone Collingwood. I just think we're starting to see them put it together again, and we might see that it all click for once, but I'm not confident in that. The next match we're looking at would be Carlton versus GWS. Who are you going, mate?
Carlton.
I'm going GWS. Why are you going Carlton?
I think without Taylor, it's going to be too hard. Bad week to miss Taylor, Curnow, and Mackay. It's going to be.
That is a good point, actually. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I might change my tip.
I think just terrible time to miss Taylor. You could miss any other
Yeah,
game, it might be okay.
yeah, okay. I didn't think. I might change my tip. Looking to the next one, Brisbane Geelong. It's in Brizzy. I've got Brisbane winning their next match. Do you have the same?
Brisbane at home, big games. Nice little test for Geelong.
I think this is the
Feels like
first time Geelong will be properly tested this year. I think they've gotten away with
yeah,
playing at home against St Kilda and other sides that probably would have tested them on bigger grounds. So yeah, this will be their first real one. Um, Next one's West Coast Freo. I think we're both going Freo. Do you see an upset by any chance though?
nah. I think there's less chance now after West Coast performance this week.
Yeah, okay. Actually,
You
fair
know, take the
point.
week off.
Yeah, put it in the rack for a bit. We'll come back in 2-3 weeks, try again. No, good
Yeah,
point. Sydney versus the Suns. I'm going Sydney. What's your thoughts?
I've gone for the upset. I think coming off the bye, they might be a bit slow, and Suns might be able to grab them. I still think it's upset. I think Sydney should be favourite and deserve to be, but I
Yeah,
could see it happening.
yeah, fair, fair. I just don't. I still don't trust the Suns' firepower.
Off the bye, off the bye.
It is tends to screw with teams, that's for sure. The final one we're looking at is North versus Hawks. I've gone North. What's your thoughts?
I think it's a massive game here, mate. I think this could be like defining if Hawthorn smashes and like wear it off. And if North beat Hawthorn, like where's Hawthorn? They can't be falling behind
Yeah,
North Melbourne in the rebuild. That'd be a disaster.
yeah. I mean,
But
yeah, it's bad for whoever loses this is not gonna. It's not gonna be good
yeah,
things in the news. I think it's
I've
a
gone
North win.
Hawthorn.
I think it is just because they got blown out, and I trust that they have improved, but we'll see. I guess
It's pretty
that's
bad for Hawthorn if they're losing to North though.
it is. It is. Um, but look, it's one we ticked off earlier in the season, saying this could be the first win for North, and I think it will be. I think Hawks just aren't showing anywhere near enough at the moment. Look, that's our week round 5 review wrapped. Um, Look, Kris, before we say goodbye, is there anything else you wanted to say?
Just a good week of footy. That was
It
a
was a good. It was a great week of footy. I'm looking forward to next week. I think St Kilda might have a chance against the Western Bulldogs, but either way, at least be a good game. I think you and Essendon, Adelaide and Essendon will be quite a good game too. So I think yeah, we'll have some at least good watches there for both our sides. Thank you for your time today, Kris, and thank you for helping us with these channels, these videos on the channel. If you did like any of the videos, feel free to like them. It definitely helps. Likewise, if you want to see more, subscribing is the easiest way to do it. We love it if you could. We love every time we see a viewer, subscriber, that sort of thing. They definitely help. But Yeah, thank you very much for your time today, everybody. Kris, yourself, we'll be back around this time next week to do it all again.